We're going to read some labels on packaged snacks. So jerky is always a really good option. It can get a little bit complicated though. Strive, Tillamook, all of those natural brands are pretty good places to start. We'll do a whole nother segment on jerky specifically. If you're like me, giving up salty snacks like chips is just not on the cards. But where do you start? Well, we're going to look at one brand here called Popcorners. And one thing I want to point out as we turn the bag over is that it's not always the same from bag to bag as far as the quality and the ingredients. You can see this one has canola oil, but this one, which is a spicy nacho, does not. It uses sunflower oil. So keep that in mind. Just because a brand looks clean and you're familiar with one brand, you still have to turn over everything individually. Moving on to an actual potato chip, Simply by Lay's is always a good go-to. Even though the different flavors have a different amount of ingredients, we're going to look at the regular sea salted ones here. All the ingredients are pretty clean. It's just potato, sunflower oil, and sea salt, so simple. Trail mix can be a good go-to snack, can be a little bit complicated. I apologize for turning the camera the wrong way here, so it's a little bit hard for you to see the label. But basically, the problem with this one is not the ingredients itself. It's just that it uses sweetened cranberry, so there's a little bit of extra added sugar. So you just kind of want to watch for that when you're picking out a trail mix. There are brands that have natural ingredients without those added sugars, especially they're usually marketed towards children, but keep an eye out for that. Moving on to a few classic packaged snacks and looking for decent substitutes. So Goldfish are always popular, but these Bitzies I found at and Annie's I found at Walmart, and they're both pretty good substitutes. We'll show you the back here on the graham cracker version. So you can see that it has wheat flour, whole wheat, grain flour, sunflower, dehydrated cinnamon, dehydrated carrots, sodium bicarbonate. So it's all, you know, real stuff. Put that back. Come over here and show you kind of what the opposite is, the typical Honey Maid, and we're going to see that it has a whole lot more stuff in it. Now again, I didn't do a great job of recording the label here, but it has a lot more additives in it. Baking soda is still in there, but different inflammatory oils. Come back and over to the Cheddar Block Bitzies. You can compare these to Cheez-Its. So they're not exactly the same. The cheddar flavor is a little bit less, but these are still a cleaner option to go to if you really need to fix that craving. And then pulling down the Annie's off the shelf here, we're going to turn these over. And these, compared to Goldfish, are a heck of a lot better. Organic wheat flour, again, expeller pressed sunflower oil, which is not inflammatory for most people. So better option there compared to the canola and the soybeans that's in Goldfish. Moving on to pork rinds. So these can actually be a pretty good snack substitute. They come in different varieties. Some are better for certain days than others. Typically are pretty decent, especially on low carb days. So again, just showing you why we need to pay attention to brands. I actually haven't tried this one yet, but I'll show you the back of the ingredients. It's relatively clean. This one does have safflower and or sunflower oil in it, which safflower oil can potentially be inflammatory. I haven't tried this brand personally yet, but it's on my list. But what I wanted to show you is here with these wild snacks. So I actually tried this chicken and waffles one. The flavor wasn't the greatest, but I tried them specifically because I'll show you here on the package. Hold on, let me fix it. There we go. It has the expeller press hyaluronic sunflower oil, which again is typically not as inflammatory of an oil. But again, while we need to look at the ingredients, so this is the regular wild brand, and you can see it has sunflower oil and or safflower oil and or canola oil. So again, probably a little bit more inflammation with these, even though they're a little bit regular, but it does have a decent amount of protein, not too many carbs, and okay on fat. So, you know, depending on what else you're eating for the week, it might be okay, might not cause you any problems, and they're a decent amount of protein in them. I have tried these before. They were all right. Didn't have a whole lot of flavor, but it had a nice crunch. Pretty basic ingredients for the most part. A little bit higher carbs, a little bit lower fat, comparable amount of protein. So, you know, these are good for maybe a better option on like a regular macro day where you don't have as much fat. I did want to take a look at these Fiesta Twists just because I was curious. And the ingredients actually weren't as bad as I was expecting. So it does have yellow cornmeal in it, but it is made with sunflower oil, dried potatoes, maltodextrin, which is a sugar additive, and then regular sugar and preservatives as well. But the rest of the ingredients are pretty clean. It does have whey protein in it. So it's probably in buttermilk powder, dry milk. So it does have a lot of milk product in it. It's not like the worst option. I probably wouldn't buy it specifically, but I might try it if somebody else had some. That wraps it up for pork rinds. We're going to move on to protein bars. So with these protein bars, lard bars are a pretty common one. They do just have 5 ingredients. I'll show you these blueberry ones here as soon as I can turn the label and find it. There it is. So pretty simple: cashews, dates, apples, blueberries, vanilla, but it does have a medium amount of carbs with a minimal amount of protein. So let's look at a different one here. Go Macro is another really popular one. I actually haven't tried these, I don't think. It has a little bit longer ingredients list, but again, pretty high carbs with minimal protein. So not really my go-to, but they're okay. Simple Mills is another really popular one. They have different brands. Again, this is another one with a little bit longer ingredients list, but all the ingredients are still acceptable. This one has lower carbs, but a little bit lower protein too. Of course, you guys know I'm a big fan of RX bars, and I will show you why. Blueberry is one of my favorite go-tos. So these also just have like dates, egg whites, almonds, cashews, so still simple ingredients, but it has a little bit lower carb, average fat, and then a little, bit higher protein than some of the other ones. Bitsies, I haven't tried these yet, and here's why: because even though the ingredients sound okay, it has a lot of syrups, a lot of added sugars, some little bit preservatives there with the extra maltodextrin, cellulose. So, if I really wanted the flavor, I would try it, but other than that, better options. Moving on to oats, you might think, oh, protein oats, but this protein is whey protein, which is a milk derivative, so don't want to do that during the 6-week client brown. Other than that, Kodiak's usually okay. Sometimes they have canola oil in them, so just be cautious about how much of it I consume. Then you have your traditional Quakers, but this one's one that I like, and the price is really comparable at Walmart. The reason why I like it is because of the ingredients list. It's really just organic whole grain oats. That's it, nothing else. This is Bob's Red Mill. They make some other things too. All of their stuff is as clean as you can get. Last thing I'm going to show you are these oats overnight. Now, I had to slow the video down so I have plenty of time to do the talking. You can buy these online. Basically, all you do is add like either water or milk, let it sit for at least 4 hours, and then it mixes together. But the ingredients are okay, especially for being prepared on the go. You could literally add your liquid in the morning, throw it in your lunchbox, and then have it later in the afternoon. And as you can see, the ingredients list is relatively okay. We know what all that stuff is. Granted, it's not 100% whole food, but it is a pretty good shortcut. Decent amount of protein, not too heavy on the carbs, decent amount of fiber, not too heavy on the fat. So I do usually keep a couple of them on hand, but I don't use them regularly just because they're not that great.